Hello. It does always catch us by surprise because the music hasn't reached a natural conclusion. Um, Hello, everyone. Nice. Thank you for joining us. We have got social action theory and evaluation this evening. Oh, Craig went off for a second there, but he's back. Sarah. I was about to say Craig because I thought I'd learnt the pointing things. And Craig, I'm Duncan. We're going to get straight on, I think, with our activities this evening. If you've joined us before, you know what to do. Put your answers in the chat window, and we will look forward to seeing your responses to these activities. If you're watching later on catch up, which I know a lot of you do, you can cheat a bit and pause the video and give yourselves a bit longer for some of these. Okay, let's crack straight on with it. I think it's Sarah first of all with a activity called Categorise.
Yes, so we're going to start off, because we're thinking about evaluating social action theory today. We're going to start off looking at the difference, just to distinguish between social action theory and structural theory, because quite often when we are doing this evaluation of social action theories, we are often evaluating them against alternative theories, which are generally structural. So you've got 60 seconds to separate these, which ones are social action and which ones are structural. And in the chat, obviously, you only need to put the numbers. You don't need to write out the sentences. Let's start the clock, Duncan.
Have we got music?
I've got no music my end.
Oh.
But some people might prefer that. Might be easier to concentrate.
That's true. I thought I'd solved that particular problem, but apparently not.
Remember, you can just put the numbers, so you could just put SA for social action or ST for structural theories, and put the numbers you would put in there in that category. A bit of music now.
I'm just playing it over the microphone and then. Oh, Arwen's done a bit. Boo.
That was outstanding, Duncan. Welcome back, Arwen. Good to see you again. Straight in there with some answers. Well done. So Arwen has said 3156 for structural. And you are definitely onto something there. Yeah, 3156. Yeah, definitely on something there. There could be one more. Could be one more in structural. Any other responses coming in? Shall we give you? Some people might be frantically typing at the moment.
Yeah, give them a minute.
Let's give you a minute to have a go, and then we will reveal the answers. It's a good little warm-up, this one. Get you thinking about where things fit. It's really important if you've got an exam question on one of them and not the other, that it means that if you know what to select, you're selecting the right information for the exam question, therefore you won't risk that NAQ not answering the question or bringing in points that aren't relevant.
Yeah. And as you were saying before also, a lot of the time when you're wanting to do like a clear, explicit evaluation of one or other of these, often you can do it with that kind of flip side kind of thing. Well, while structural theorists say this, social action theorists will emphasise it by saying this and vice versa.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that can be a useful way of doing it.
And of course, it's one of our debates, isn't it? So you could easily have a question asking you to evaluate which one of the two is the more useful.
Shall we have a look?
Shall we do the big reveal? Where are we putting these? So, Arwen, you can see here that you, with your 3156, you've got 3, 1, 5 and 6 in there, but also number 7. So society is characterised by these structures of social class, inequality and conflict. And then in social action theory, we've got people create meaning through interactions, and we'll talk about that a bit more today and we'll evaluate that. People actively negotiate their identities, performing roles for different audiences. That's giving Goffman, isn't it, that one? And contemporary society is too fragmented and diverse to operate as a single structure. So we've got a really nice introduction to our social action theories there. And Craig is going to take us through a lovely evaluation on balance activity.
He is. I'm just going to say CZNNXE-M also got 1, 5, and 6. Yeah, which is correct for structural theories. And
Oh, well done. Excellent.
yeah, 3 and 7 as well. Okay, Craig, on balance.
Okay, thank you. I'm hoping there's not kind of a big delay between me and the thingy now, because sort of like it is kind of buffering a little bit here. What we're going to focus on in this activity is, as Sarah's just sort of like said, there is one of the key debates, particularly if you're doing your theory and methods 20 marker, is the extent to which for contemporary society. And one of the ways in which we can do this is balance out whether we think
Oh,
social action theories make a judgment on how
sorry, Craig's
stuff
breaking
from
up
the spec, and
quite a lot.
structural theories.
Sorry, Craig. I'm just you're kind of
Am
breaking
I
up quite a
breaking
lot.
up?
So we're missing. I think we did catch it all, but there were just some like kind of gaps as we went. So yeah,
I am breaking up.
we are comparing between the social action theories and structural theories. Sorry, we'll give it another go. But if it keeps happening, I'll kind of yeah. Let's have a look what we need to do
Okay.
anyway.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I've gone ahead.
So I would say that this is kind of one of those key.
Oh, don't know what's happening. Craig has definitely. I think we've lost Craig for a moment. So the what we're asking for is for you to evaluate the view that social action theories are better. So we're starting with that side of
I'll
the
try
argument.
and log on again.
All right, cheers, Craig.
See what happens.
So the first half of the argument, we're going to look at whether the social action theories are better. So can you come up with any suggestions for why it might be better to use social action theories rather than structural theories to understand and study contemporary society? So lots of possible things you could talk about here. So just have a little think. We'll give you a minute or two just to have a think about why might you choose social action theories. Why might you think that they're the better ones? This could be strengths of social action theories, or of course it could be weaknesses of structural theories. Either of those could give you reasons why you might prefer to use them.
Could be a contribution of social action theory to our understanding of society.
Absolutely could. What's good about social action theories?
What would Weber say if he was here?
What's bad about structural theories? Or why might they not be as good?
Or no longer as good?
Yeah, remember the question. Well, the question is very much saying contemporary society.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Arwen's coming with one. Look from the individual's point of view and meaning rather than overgeneralizing concepts across society. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. That's
That's definitely a reason or why you might choose to use social action theories. We had Craig for a second again, but I've got like a little view of the cameras and Craig's coming in and out. I apologise. I would say, oh yeah, contemporary society is more diverse, so therefore it's better. So social action theories might be better suited to explain a diverse society. So we might link that to kind of postmodernism and that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I keep saying Craig appear and disappear every second. Sorry. I got a thumbs up for a second. Anyway, shall we have a look what we got? I think what Craig put. I think we've covered some of these. Let's have a look. So yeah, absolutely. Great diversity in society today means that many people construct their own meaning and identity from the world around them, rather than them being kind of, forced upon us by the structures of society. So social action theory deals with that better. And greater agency, people having choices to be able to shape institutions through their choices. And example Craig's given there is of parental choice in education. So yeah, Arwen did a great job there. She got the same ones as Craig, pretty much. So very, very good. What about the other side of the argument then? Why might you still prefer to use structural theories? Why might it still be better to use structural theories? do we think? While people are just having to think about this, I just want to do a quick sort of test. Craig, can you hear me? Maybe not. Connie has said they don't.
I can hear you.
Oh, you
not
can.
Sure, sort of like how.
I think there might be a super long delay at the moment.
Possibly. I can hear you. I can hear you, but it breaks up a lot. So I don't think I've got a great connection.
No, right.
Yeah.
Connie's saying they don't look at things on a larger scale. Is that still on the social action theory side? Is it the? Sorry, you're saying you might not want to use social action theories. You might prefer to use structural theories because social action theories don't look at things on a large scale, and you need to look. We need to. That would make sense. That works as an argument. Maybe what sort of things do we want to look at on a larger scale? What sorts of issues might structural theories help us to understand a bit better? I think you're on the right lines, but why might we want to look at things on a larger scale? Arwin says we might want to look at how institutions affect the lives of people to understand top-down things. Absolutely, yeah.
That's nice, Arwin. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might want to understand that. How are people affected by capitalism or racism or
patriarchy?
Yeah, these are still things we want to know in contemporary society.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we have a look? Shall we see what we had? These are good points. Both of you did a good job there, Connie and Arwin. So we've got statistical trends show that many structural issues remain, and we've got the example of underachievement in education by the working class. So that's very much this idea that these kind of big structural issues, these larger scale issues, are still of importance. And we can look at examples of the theories kind of where we think, oh, actually that theory is explaining that phenomenon quite well. So we could think of, well, maybe something from Durkheim, the idea of boundary maintenance. We could see examples where people are brought together by impacts of certain issues or whatever and think, oh, well, there you go. What Durkheim said is actually happening. So anywhere where you can see structural theories kind of seeming to actually play out in real life, you can think, well, there you go. Maybe structural theories are useful, even today. Okay, going to hand back to Sarah for the evalu wheel, which is a fun activity.
We're going to do a couple of evalu wheels because this is a really nice activity to remind you how many different ways there are to evaluate, because often we think of it just as criticisms, but there are lots of ways that we can show reasoned judgment in our essays. So we're going to give you a statement and then we're going to spin the wheel, and at random it's completely random, of course, it's going to give us one particular way of evaluating, and then we're going to have a go at doing the evaluation. So what statement are we starting with? Okay, interactionist researchers often use qualitative methods such as unstructured interviews and participant observation to understand the meanings people attach to their actions. So how are we going to be evaluating this statement? It's spinning. Where is it possibly going to land? Oh, we're on the orange. We're looking for a strength of this point. So we're going to show judgment by giving a strength. Pop your answers in the chat. What kind of strength could you think of that may be a strength of social action theory via these interactionist research methods? Let's see what you can come up with.
What might be if we think in just general research methods terms for a moment, what's good about these methods? Why would you want qualitative data? And then think about how do we link that to the theory? Often when we talk about research methods, we often say, oh, postmodernists like this, interpretivists like that, and these interactionist researchers are interpretivists, so they tend to be taken from an interpretivist perspective. What is it about these meanings that what do they get out of it? What's good for it?
Be useful to phrase Could be useful to phrase it like, what does it allow researchers to do, or what does it allow sociologists to obtain or gain?
Yeah. What aspects of society does it help to them to understand? Sometimes it's easier if you get a criticism, isn't it? You can think, I can think of what this doesn't help us understand. It doesn't help us see the big picture. Doesn't help us see the big picture. Doesn't help us see the structures. But
contribution is quite hard, isn't it? Thinking of what it contributes. But this can be really helpful if you get a contribution essay as well, and you're having to say what the contribution of a particular theory is. Oh, we've got an answer from Arwen. Well done. Unstructured interviews allow the participant to explain subjects on their own terms without influence of the sociologist. So you gain insight into the raw meaning that participants attach to things. I really like that. There's kind of raw meaning. So that kind of depth that researchers might be able to gain because of using methods like this. Yeah. Well done, Arwen.
And if you think back to the categorise activity, we've already said that social action theories are very interested in meaning and interpretations and
negotiation and all of that.
Yeah, and so all of that, you want that. You want this, don't you? You want to know what the participants are thinking, you know. And this can get you insights into that. That's excellent. Shall we have a look?
Yeah, let's see what we suggested.
I think it's a very similar point.
Yeah, so very similar. We said the strength of using these methods is that they allow researchers to gain rich, detailed insights into, and lived experience is a really good phrase to use here, so into lived experiences that would be missed by more rigid quantitative approaches. So although this is a strength, it's drawing a bit of a comparison with other methods that could be used that maybe wouldn't be as strong.
Yeah, excellent stuff. I think we've got another one of these.
Another one coming up. Okay, so one of my favourite theories here, Goffman's dramaturgical theory argues that individuals manage the impressions they give to others by performing different roles in different social settings. So how are we going to be evaluating this? What's going to come up? I hope it's not a strength again. Fancy a bit more variety. It's blue. What's it going to be? It's evidence. What kind of evidence have we got that Goffman's dramaturgical theory and what it shows us about individuals doing this impression management and performing different roles in different settings? What evidence have we got of that? So how can we evaluate that by saying this is true because?
Yeah. So when we think about how we can use evidence to evaluate, there are lots of different ways we can use a study, we can use contemporary examples, things that are actually happening, stuff that we can see happening in real life. We can use data. In this particular case, I'm sort of thinking contemporary example stuff we can see that might be where we might go with it, but you might come up with something else. And of course, we can use evidence to support a point or to criticise it. So you might come up with evidence on either side. I think Sarah's gone with supportive evidence, which is a good way to go. But you could go either way.
We've got a Goffman book at school. We've got the book Stigma by Goffman.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, which someone actually borrowed today to do a bit of a wider sociological reading.
Excellent. I remember reading The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life when I was a student. I enjoyed it. I think it's a good read. You know.
I think if your students are looking for a wider read, something that is kind of things like Goffman, they do feel more contemporary and more relevant than a lot of the kind of older things, the classic text you might read, like say Suicide by Durkheim, something like that.
Maybe a little more accessible in that way, although it is conceptually quite difficult.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Just a chapter is enough. It can sound great on your UCAS. Don't have to read it cover to cover. How are we doing?
So can we think of any ways in which people manage their impressions? Can you think of examples of people doing impression management? Perhaps performing a role? Oh, Connie talks about impression management in kind of a research methods point of view, which is I think, or is this an answer to the previous one?
Actually, I think that was the previous one that's just come through.
Yeah, yes.
So, well done, Connie. That's a good contribution actually about rapport.
Yeah.
Oh, Arwen, I was just thinking this as well. We're completely. Right,
This
Owen.
was why I wondered if the participant observation could have been for this one, because obviously
Yes, of
impression
course.
management. Yeah. Mm.
So teachers with Ofsted, of course, and if you think about that front stage, backstage, what is the teacher behaving like in the classroom when the inspector is watching them teach? And how does that maybe compare to the backstage of perhaps the staff room? So we've got teachers kind of managing their impressions. And then if we're thinking about that from a research methods perspective, it gives us validity issues, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyone being observed by a hierarchy. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's not just teachers and Ofsted, it is anyone who's being observed by someone who maybe has a position of power over them. Yep.
What? Why? Just interesting question. Can you think of any situations? I'm asking the audience rather than Sarah here. Sorry, I'm not. Can you think of situations where you yourself might do a bit of impression management? Are there situations where you maybe think about your front stage? I mean, we all do it all the time in everyday life, but perhaps a particular feature of contemporary society where you kind of curate a version of yourself.
I think
kind of
if I fulfilled my lifelong dream of going on Love Island, I think I'd be very much my front stage self there.
Yeah. Oh, Alan said, well, if you're going for an interview, like a university or college interview,
Yes.
absolutely,
Yeah.
you'd do impression management in that situation, wouldn't you?
And remember, Goffman wasn't saying it was a bad thing. He wasn't saying that we were being purposely manipulative. It's just that we do seamlessly kind of shift between front stage, backstage.
Yeah, we do it all the time. I mean, we do it all the time. You know, we're doing it now. Sarah and I are doing it now. This isn't necessarily how we always speak.
Yes, it is. And even if you compare being in the classroom to being in maybe your sixth form common room or social space or cafe, you know, you will seamlessly shift between that front stage and backstage and that impression management throughout the day at school or college.
Yeah. Now, Sarah, you came up with one. I hear. I'm going to reveal it now about social media, which I think is a good one because I think people do that all the time, don't they? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you think what you're portraying through your TikTok or your Instagram or your Snapchat, we're too old for Snapchat here, but obviously you youngsters are using it. You know, you've got that stage.
I'm for TikTok as well.
I think online dating is such a good example when you think about the profiles people are creating and what they're saying about themselves, because obviously they're curating this kind of best version, most attractive version of themselves, which could be very different to the person after you've been on several dates with them, perhaps, and they're more relaxed and you're seeing the backstage person. So yeah, we're constantly, and I think this is why Goffman's theories are so relevant in the contemporary world and why this would be such a great evaluation is we're able to say that social media and the whole digital world that we, you know, negotiate our identity within now is so prominent. It's such a big part of our lives that these theories are more relevant, I think, than they were when Goffman first talked about them.
Yeah. And Connie's put that people act differently with their friends compared to when they're at work or with their teachers because we've got to meet certain expectations. That's great. Yeah, really.
Yeah, well done, Connie. That's fantastic.
Fab. Right. Have we got one more of these? We have.
Oh, we've got another one. What a treat. Awesome that we have another one. So this one is about symbolic interactionism, and it argues that society is built through shared meanings that are created and negotiated during everyday interactions. How are we going to evaluate this one? What could it be? Oh, it's a limitation. So to what extent is it true that society is built through shared meanings that are created and negotiated during everyday interactions?
What does this not explain? That might be one way to think about it. What does it?
Yes.
Yeah. It explains us some. It tells us some stuff, but it doesn't necessarily tell us everything. If you think about some of the examples of this kind of stuff that we look at in across the course, I mean, maybe. You know, we talk about some of these ideas of it in education, don't we? You know, and the kind of processes within schools and the way identities are formed, and you know, links with labelling and things like that, which I know we're going to talk about in a later activity. So I don't want to preempt that too much. But if you think about what, you know, it tells us some interesting stuff about how individuals behave and how they think about themselves and all that kind of thing. You know, those of you who
It's very micro, isn't it? This it's a very micro view. So what might it ignore
Yeah.
compared to the macro view?
What's it missing?
And it's really good, I think, with this kind of evaluation to start with. This, however, this ignores. Nice way to structure your paragraphs.
Yeah.
Give you a few more seconds to get something in the chat there.
I mean, you never know where people are at in their modules and things, but if you've been doing crime and deviance, if you're doing some interactionism in crime and deviance, you might have had a look at moral panics and folk devils, which is all very interesting, that these phenomena take place and have these impacts. But imagine for a moment you were a Marxist or a neo-Marxist. What might you say it there is missing with, say, Cohen and moral panics and folk devils that maybe Stuart Hall goes on to add a little bit more. Alan says, questionable if everyone creates meaning in every single interaction. There might still be meaning between agencies that don't interact. For example, someone who's never committed a crime in the criminal justice system. Okay, so yeah, we can look at, yeah, it can go beyond, interactions. We have lots of interactions that don't have a big impact on our ideas of meaning. But when we're going for this sort of very micro stuff, if you think about, and don't worry if you don't know about this because you may or may not have covered it, but kind of George Mead and Looking Glass Self and things, we get this idea that through all our interactions we get an idea of ourselves, don't we? We start to think about how we perceive ourselves through how we think, how other people are reacting to us, and this kind of stuff goes on all the time. It's all really interesting. I'm sort of pushing it as a particular sort of thing here. It's
I
all
think
really,
what Owen's saying is
Yeah.
actually, if you think about the criminal justice system
Yeah.
and criminals, we're talking from a structural perspective, aren't we? We're saying, well, we've got this institution that has an impact on criminals without necessarily thinking about those micro interactions.
Yeah.
So perhaps we can still understand things through a structural theory in other ways without doing what symbolic interactionism does. Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, taking the sort of criminal justice system example, if we say, like, let's go. Sorry, I know this might be preempting a later question, but if we've got like sort of Becker saying that deviance is what we label as deviant, and people get labelled in this way, does everyone? Who gets labelled? What about in education? Who has who's symbolically annihilated or have symbolic violence against them? Who doesn't have the when we start sort of thinking about some of these ideas, is it just anybody, individuals, an interesting phenomena, or is it some social groups? And if it's some social groups, then we're starting to impose some structure and structural theory onto this. So that could be where we start to see some limitations. Yeah.
Yep, so you could say this ignores the wider power structures and inequalities that shape those interactions. So if you think about the kind of institutions that are actually shaping us, and maybe at the same time as we are also shaping ourselves by those interactions, these two things are happening simultaneously, as Giddens would tell us with dual structuration theory. So things like social class, ethnicity, and patriarchal structures, they're not just small interactions, they are what the institutions are enforcing on us. So like Duncan was saying, it's very much about the power relation, and if the power sits at the top in those structures, it's kind of hard to ignore them. Yes.
Okay, we've got something called the chili quiz now. Craig, we've lost Craig, I'm afraid, so I'll have to be Craig. But Craig wrote you these nice questions, so if you like them, you can thank Craig. If you're not, anyway. So we've got 3 questions here. The idea with the chili quiz is that the mild questions, the easier one, the spicy questions hard, and the hot questions really difficult. But it does, they're all easy if you know them and difficult if you don't. I always think sometimes you might disagree with our chili ranking, especially when Sarah's like just giving away the hot one. That might, if you're listening carefully, that might make that a lot milder. But let's have a look. So we've got a sociologist who we might associate with the idea of the social construction of crime and the way in which crime and deviance is socially constructed. for our mild question. There's more than one person you could potentially use for that, but there's perhaps one that leaps to mind. A sociologist who examined how typifications shaped how offenders were dealt with. So this is something you might have covered recently in Crime and Deviance, potentially. Looking at perhaps different theoretical approaches. And then we've got a sociologist who might be associated with the concept of structuration. So Evie's come in with Durkheim, and I'm assuming that's for the social construction of crime. And you are, of course, right that in many ways crime is socially constructed by everybody. You know, all sociologists would think that crime is socially constructed. And of course, when Durkheim talks about, you know, even in a society of saints there would be deviance, then it's clear that in a way deviance is a social construct, because, you know, what would be considered deviant in the society of saints is very different from what would be considered deviant in our society. However, Durkheim did also say that crime and deviance were universal. He just likes to contradict himself, doesn't he, Durkheim? Because it's normal. But it is, yeah, you're right. I don't want to disagree with you, Evie, on that, because I do think that's a fair point, that there has been, you know, I guess we're wanting someone from the interactionist social action theory side of things, though. So have we got someone from that side of the so, because obviously Durkheim is a structural theorist, very much so. You're not wrong, though, Evie. Just to, but have we got someone who specifically talks about how, you know, because I guess what Durkheim and most structuralists would agree at least is that crime is breaking the law, and therefore there is a sort of clear definition of crime. Obviously, someone makes the law. We've got our Marxists who talk about law creation and laws and selective law enforcement and things, which are all part of a social construction of crime and deviance in a way. But perhaps we might have an interactionist who talks about, or a social action theorist who talks about crime being sort of created by society even more so than that. What about the typifications? That one might ring a bell. If I talked about negotiation of justice, that might help work out who that one might be.
Have a go at number 3. Were you paying attention when I gave a little spoiler earlier?
Yeah, got a sociologist associated with the concept of structuration, or the duality of structure. And here's a sociologist that you've encountered elsewhere. Those of you who do families, which is almost everyone, will have done a bit of this person in relation to changes in the family and relationships. Those of you who do beliefs probably will do some, might not have got there yet, in relation to globalization and beliefs, and particularly fundamentalism and things like that. Oh, we might have stumped you with all 3. So the one we were... Oh, look, I forgot to put the music on, but it doesn't matter because you can't hear it anyway. So there we go. We've got, for number 1, we got Becker. So labelling theory. Oh, well done, Connie. Number 2 was Cicero.
Well done.
Negotiation of justice and typifications, similar to stereotypes and things like that. And then, Giddens is our structuration person. So as a late modernist, Anthony Giddens. I mean, very much influenced by Weber, actually. I mean, this was an idea that in many ways Weber sort of talked about first. And you could even say, don't want to confuse matters, but even Marx sort of hinted at this when he said man makes his own history, but not as he chooses. It's the idea that we do have agency, but we also are constrained by structures that you can't totally separate out these two ideas. So Giddens gets a lot of credit for this, but, but I think both Weber and Marx had hinted at this previously. Yeah. Okay, very good. Well done. Keep that in mind. There might be a little bit more. Giddens later. I don't know. Oh, podium finish, and this is the podium finish to finish. Although I think we got 3 of them, but these are. I think we're
going to do 2 of them. I think.
Oh, is it 2? Yeah, 2.
A couple of podium finishes to finish. So this is quite nice, thinking about your evaluative reasoning. and really kind of weighing things up against each other and showing judgment. So what you've got to do is you're going to see 3 evaluations, and you need to, and these are going to evaluate labeling theories, first of all. And what you need to do is say which you think is the strongest one. So the top, which gets first place. And then if you want to, you can also say which you think gets second place or third place. But what we're really interested in is what are you picking as the top one? Which is your winning evaluation? And if you want to, you can give us some reasons for why you have picked it, because that's the kind of evaluation, giving us the justification for it.
Yeah.
So
they're all accurate, aren't they? We're just looking for...
They're all accurate. They would all be valid evaluations, but some of them are stronger or perhaps better than others. You might feel one is stronger and someone else might disagree. Who knows? So we've got A, labeling theory offers valuable insights into how definitions of deviance are socially constructed, but it pays little attention to the wider structural inequalities that influence who gets labelled in the first place. Wouldn't that sound lovely in your final conclusion in an essay? B, we've got while labelling theory explains the consequences of being labelled, it often overlooks the initial causes of deviant behaviour before any label is applied. And C, labelling theory is criticised for being deterministic because it struggles to explain why some individuals reject or resist negative labels, highlighting limits in its account of human agency. So which one do you think is the strongest one there if you were evaluating labelling theory?
And as we said, these are all accurate. We may not totally agree, even amongst ourselves, which is the strongest.
Yes.
It's all about how you kind of justify which one you would like to use. Obviously they're making slightly different points. A and B are making similar points, in a way, yeah. And C's making a slightly different point, and so we might be able to rank A and B by thinking, well, they're making a similar point. Which one makes it? Which one develops that more or makes it more clearly?
And then what do you think of C compared to A and B? Would you say it was a stronger evaluation or would you say it was weaker? Oh, and I said A offers a detailed strength and limitation. Yes, A is very balanced, isn't it? Yes. It kind of gives us a strength and then it says, but it pays little attention to.
Yeah, so it's quite there's a limitation, isn't it? That style of that style of evaluation. It's saying, well, yeah, it's not wrong, but
Yes. And well done, Owen, for giving us some justification as well. That's good. Yeah. Although my favourite is an A actually.
Yeah.
Although I really like the point you've made is really, really strong.
I mean, I'm going to be interested to hear Sarah's justification for her ranking, because here we go. Let's have a look what it was. Because
here we go.
Because I would probably have my favourite's probably A, although I'm not making any criticisms of C. It's a very good, it's a very strong evaluation as well. So I want to know why. I'm sure we could all make
really good. They are good, and A does work, doesn't it? Because A kind of says, it ignores the wider structural inequalities. I like C because C is really tangible. It kind of says, well, look, labelling theory is deterministic. It doesn't explain why some people reject or resist the negative labels. So sometimes it ignores this massive part of what goes on with labelling. And it's often used in this deterministic way. So that, for me, is why I find that's a really strong evaluation. I would save that up till the end of an essay, or I might bring it in as a kind of however point at the end of a paragraph. And it feels really tangibly strong. But I think, really, in an excellent essay, you want A and C.
Yeah, and there's nothing
you
wrong
want them both in there, don't you?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with both. And when you're sort of thinking about this, and this is sometimes a problem with, not that I'm criticising doing paragraph structures, because it can be a good way for you to think about things and but never feel like, I've done my evaluation, I don't need to do any more. If you want to do some more evaluation, or even evaluate your evaluation or whatever, just do that. Put more. You can always fit more AO3 into your, whether it's analysis or evaluation, into your paragraphs in these essays. There's no upper limit. There's nothing to say, oh, you can't. You've evaluated once, you can't do them. You can't do more. You can pack it in. What I like about C, and I'm gonna say this because I think this is a good point just for people to think about, because one of the things that it says in the mark scheme is as well as about explicit and juxtaposed evaluation. Obviously, these are all explicitly evaluating labeling theory, but we also talk about the idea of sort of evaluation being developed. And what you'll sometimes see students doing is saying, however, this is deterministic. Full stop.
Yes.
Moving on. And that's what we might term a sort of bolt-on evaluation, or just a stated evaluation. What you want to do is explain in what way, how is it, and that's what C does, nicely. So if you do use something like, however, this is deterministic, or however, this is outdated, or however, this is reductionist, those sorts of forms of evaluation, don't just state it and leave it. Always explain, well, how? What is it about it that's like this? In what way is it? And that's a good
Don't leave it hanging. Don't leave it hanging. Yeah, don't dangle the evaluation and not complete it. No. And sometimes you can say things like, this is significant because, after you've given the evaluation, to kind of prompt yourself to tell us a bit more.
Yeah. Okay. And again, it's something that sometimes happens because of the paragraph structure, isn't it? We sort of, I occasionally see people who write the letters down the side of the page. Kind of have PE, whichever one it is, peel or peaches or whatever, and then it's kind of it's one line for your E, and then so it's like, oh well, that's all I can fit. Whereas I don't feel that way. You can.
Don't forget those paragraph structures. They're a guide, not a template. Exactly. Use them to get used to. Throughout year 12, they can be so valuable because that first year of A level. But now you guys are in year 13, you're stepping away from those scaffolds, aren't you? And you're starting to actually merge a lot of those skills together.
Yeah. So never feel restricted. Yeah. Give us more.
Yes.
Okay. Got one last one of these, and then we're finishing.
One more podium finish. So let's see what you think of this. This one is evaluating social action theories. So while we're talking about which one we prefer, we're also kind of modelling lots of possible evaluations, aren't we? So this is really good modelling of really good exam content. So we've got A, by focusing on micro level interactions, social action theorists struggle to explain broader social patterns, trends, and power relations. This is like a real theme that we've talked about throughout the session today. B, a better theory to explain society would be structural theories, as these take social class and other structures into account. And C, is my favourite theory today, Giddens' dual structuration theory challenges social action approaches by arguing that each of the individual meaning and choice are shaped by wider social rules that people simultaneously reproduce. So what do you think? If you're evaluating social action theory, or the contribution of social action theory to our understanding of society, what would you think was the strongest evaluation there? And they're all good, they're all useful.
Yeah, I think on this one it's easier to see which one is the weaker one. My feeling is, I think this one it's a bit clearer to see which one we'd put in the. They're all on the podium. They've all got on the podium. They've all done all right, but which one we put in the I think it's like which one we get the bronze medal to. I think is clearer on this one. Last one they're all really strong. So Arwen's saying C as it evaluates with another theory and explains why. Are you saying C for the best or the worst? Which one are you saying, Arwen?
Oh yeah, top or bottom?
No, yeah, you're saying for the best. Yeah, I think you're saying for the best, aren't you? Yeah, I think you are.
It's really nice to notice that, isn't it? That it evaluates within a theory, but it also explains the significance of that.
Yeah, no, I think you are doing that. I think
developed evaluation.
I find that one pretty convincing. It's quite a nice, especially if you're writing a conclusion or something. If you've got that essay on structural theories versus social action theories, Giddens and structuration works really nicely in your conclusion, because it's kind of like a natural midpoint. It's like accepting that they've both got good arguments, but that both are limited, in this way. I would probably go with that. I feel B's I don't know if this is how you've ranked it, but I would say B's the kind of bronze medalist on this occasion, because it's it's just saying, a better theory would be this, and it's fine. It's fine to state that another theory is better, but you need to be saying something about the social action theory, not just why another theory is
It
better.
feels a bit like juxtaposition, doesn't it? Almost, it's kind of placed it next to it rather than really directly critiquing.
It is really. There's nothing wrong with saying this theory might explain it better, but you would need to say why and what the other one, what it is that the other one isn't managing to do, which A does better, doesn't it? So yeah, if you put A and B together, that would work, wouldn't it? If you did both.
Yeah, actually, they would work nicely, wouldn't they?
Yeah, if you did.
Yeah. In fact, if you had all three of these in your final conclusion of an essay, it'd be pretty strong, wouldn't it?
It would, and there's nothing nothing to stop you doing that. But there we go. Yeah, so that was.
Aren't you relieved, Duncan, that I put B on the?
I started saying it, and I can't actually remember where you put it, but I'm sure you would have done. I knew you would have done. Yeah. Okay, let us return to the studio. I managed to do some quick work behind the scenes as we didn't have Craig with us. That'd get us back to the two camera screen. I thought, can I remember how to do this? And I did. So I was quite pleased with myself. Okay, thanks very much, guys. I tell you what, do join us next week because we're gonna have a festive, fun live stream with Santa might turn up, maybe some reindeer, Christmas crackles,
is it
baubles.
Or is it Santa though?
Could be Karl Marx, Weber, Santa, who knows? Yeah, we will find out next week. So if you have the chance, I appreciate you might be starting to feel sort of demob happy and ready to spend a little bit of time not thinking about it. But having said that, this is a good holiday to do a bit of. I bet a lot of you got mocks coming up after Christmas and stuff. So doing a bit of in
the festive mood if you come along next week and do some festive revision with us, and we're going to do lots of different topics as well. Yeah.
We'll just cut across everything you're likely to have done so far, so it'll be a nice mix. Okay, cheers, guys.
Great, well done today.
Thanks, Sarah, and we'll see everyone soon. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.